I've been meaning to record a podcast for a long time, and now I'm going to finally do it. I'm actually outside right now at the park with Pebbles, playing fetch, so if I sound like I'm out of breath, it's probably because Pebbles runs a lot. Now, this podcast is going to be on the topic of personal statements, and on one particular issue that comes up a ton, and that's how does one make their personal statement personal? Well, I want to keep this short, so I'm going to kind of treat it the way I treated my mini personal statement guides. And the question is, again, how do you make your personal statement personal? It's very easy to say, it's very difficult to explain, and it's even more difficult to actually do. I was actually talking to a client earlier today, and her first draft of her personal statement versus her second was like night and day. The first one, it was just imagery after imagery after imagery, and it was kind of like listening to a singer do falsetto for an entire song or have a run every other line. It's too much. In this version of her personal statement, though, she kind of was succinct to the point and got the message across. And as I was explaining to her what she did right, she said to me, well, this time I felt as if I was kind of doing it in my own voice. I was writing the way I would speak in many ways. And I told her, you're right. This time you let the reader get into your headspace. You allow them to feel what you feel, see what you see, and those emotions, those personal feelings came across. And it was probably 10 times better, the second draft versus the first one. Now, that idea kind of brings me to another point, right? You want to make the reader feel how you feel. You might have heard a quote at some time or another about how people will forget what you do, they'll forget what you say, but they'll always remember the way you make them feel. And the same thing applies to writing. You can spend 1,000 words saying how you're the best candidate, how you're the smartest, how you're the hardest worker, how you did X, and that proves that you're like this brilliant person who's going to become an amazing lawyer. And you can do that for pages and pages and pages, but it's not going to matter unless you make the reader feel that. It won't have any effect. So what does this mean, make the reader feel? Well, you want them to, again, get in your headspace. Because if they start feeling how you feel, if they feel your emotions, if they get inside your head, that feeling they felt when reading your personal statement, that feeling of understanding how you felt in the moment you're describing in your personal statement, that will stick with them. The way you felt, the triumph you had, the difficulty you overcame, if they feel it and if they associate a certain attribute with that feeling, then they'll believe it and then it will stick with them. Don't tell them, because this happened, therefore I am this. It's a lot stronger if they make that association themselves and if they realize on their own that you're this amazing person. So to recap, the two main points are: one, bring the reader into your headspace. Make them feel how you feel. Make them see what you see. Make them understand exactly how things were for you. And then, by making them feel how you feel and associate positive attributes with those feelings, such emotions will stick with them and they are going to remember that as they go through the process. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope this first podcast goes over well. And have an awesome rest of the week, and good luck with your cycles.